kind of consensus algorithm, promising to still create some incentives for doing the verification. So I think I'm just going to open up to anyone who wants to take stage on giving some good pros and cons between the mining versus the non-mining based consensus algorithms.
Okay, I can try to give it a short shot with the amount of time we have left. The mining is, or the reason you have mining in the public network is to incentivize its use. You can't get people to you can't get security in the network. You can't get people to use the network unless there are miners and validators, and they get paid to do the job in a token sent out by the network. But in a private blockchain, you can assume that you can have smaller blockchains where you share information between not necessarily trusted counterparties, but the network will establish trust that the trade will be settled. And by having a more efficient consensus algorithm and miners that don't need to be validated by tokens as put out by a network, you can have more efficient consensus algorithm, and you can have easier and more streamlined network based on the requirements. So maybe when you boil it down, it's kind of public networks have made a network that are maybe a bit more versatile, and they're trying to work a bit outside the rules, for example, or they're trying to work a bit outside the situation we have today. They want to be a multi-purpose network. While you're looking maybe at the more specifically private, you are looking at networks that are made to be as efficient as possible to doing their job according to the laws and regulation and the situation that are in that area. So in the financial world, it makes sense to make the most efficient network for a given situation.
That's a good summary as we can get it. I see that you are pulling at your hand. I think we have some time left, and I think we got to open up that political can of worms before we finish. Bitcoin, the whole idea of Bitcoin is having distributed, available to everybody, transparent. This is the ideology behind Bitcoin. Then the big banks, I'm a banker myself, come there and sit down. Well, we're going to make a consortium blockchain available only to the biggest banks in the world. I would like you guys to give some viewpoints on the differences there. How will that affect transparency? Everybody knows that the banks, the less transparency, the more money we make. So how will the consortium blockchain, how is it able to coexist with the fundamental idea of Bitcoin and blockchain?
I guess the market will decide.
A good answer that we bankers really appreciate.
I have one comment also. I think it's very difficult to separate the privacy issues and anonymity from this discussion. So sometimes the objectives of the network are to anonymize the traffic and to not know your customers, whereas sometimes it is the objective to know your customers and make everything traceable. So you cannot really separate on a technological level what is the underlying objective of the given network. So if the network is about privacy and anonymity, then certain objectives of certain networks don't fit.
Yeah. Well, I think that the transparency isn't a problem within a consortium network or private network. That's depending on how you define the roles within the actors or partners in the network. Another thing is that blockchain is two things. One thing is the block and the mining process. Another thing is to distribute the ledger. And there's a lot of investment these days in having network with distributed ledger and distributed database without the block. So actually it's two things here.
I think that's our time for now. I thank you from the panelists. I think we can reach the conclusion is that it's such an early stage, so it's really difficult to have some black and white answer to this. I think a lot of these technologies, a lot of approaches to blockchain will be able to coexist. You can potentially have Bitcoin as a ledger and Ethereum as the application layer on top. Only time will tell. We see now we have a lot of brilliant minds here working with it. So we will pick up this discussion again in a couple of years and see how it ended. Thank you.